What up, everyone? Welcome to Wrestle Recap. My name is Michelle Tate.
My name happens to be Justin Tate.
And we happen to be the only brother-sister duo that takes you on the journey of wrestling throughout the decades.
It's a happening as it happens.
Man, we don't really have a lot of current wrestling news this week, but I got to tell everybody what I'm doing tonight, and I'm so sad you're not joining me.
What's that?
All right, we had a skating rink as a kid that we went to all the time. And tonight they're doing an adults only 90s night.
It's a roller skating rink too, not ice skating. It's like one of those classic, like built in the 70s or 80s roller skating rinks.
Yeah, and I'm just so excited, and I cannot believe Justin's not coming with me. Our other sister is coming, but Justin's not.
Yeah, I have a few things going on in real life, so I need to work on those.
Real life
for the
is
time
so
being.
overrated, but oh my gosh, I'm gonna have so much fun. I cannot wait. What's crazy is this place doesn't even have bathroom doors still to this day.
Oh, that's
I remember
hilarious.
you'd have to go in the stall and like sit there and pee, and your friend had to be your door. But oh gosh, I'm a little worried that because it's like adults only night. I was like, what if we're supposed to be naked? Like, what if this is a nasty party?
Oh,
like
God.
a nasty skating, like people fall down naked, do the limbo naked. Like what?
Wow. Well, that'll make the couples skate very interesting.
Oh
We'll see.
Lord. It'll be my first time having a couple skate there because I was like 8 when I went there before. It was really funny today because I was like, do they have a parking lot? And Mom was like, yeah, you've never had to park a car there, have you?
No, that's
like,
hilarious.
No. Yeah.
I think I did one time. I don't remember why I was there, but I mean, still, it was like probably 20 years ago when I had to go there. Maybe not even that long, maybe 15. But yeah, that's going to be wild. I want pictures. I definitely want pictures and video if anybody's falling down.
Oh gosh, I already said they better have a paramedic on standby for all these old people about to skate. But we might as well jump in the time machine since I'm going back to the 90s tonight. But I want to get a head start. Let's go. Oh yeah, we're here, everybody.
All right, I like it. We're back in 1990, and this one happens on a pretty cool date. As it relates to you. So why don't you get into the info on this show?
Let's just do it, Justin. So this is the NWA/WCW Great American Bash 1990. Woo! Anyway, I had to mute my mic and burp because I felt it coming.
Yeah. Well, now that we've told everybody what a high-class operation we're running here, that's great.
I muted myself. That's pretty classy. I could have just let it fly.
I'm drinking a topo, and if I got a burp during the show, I'm just letting it out. I'm just telling you now. I'm not muting my mic.
Well, the particular date that this happened is really freaking cool because it happened on July 7th, 1990. That is right. That is the day before I was born. I told Justin, I guarantee you our parents were watching this show in the hospital room.
Yeah, that was the last day there was relative silence on this earth.
I'm sorry. My husband said that this was the last day, or he said that wrestling would become significantly better after this show because I was on the planet. So
I think he just made that up. He didn't say that.
He did say it. He did. He's just a lot nicer to me than you are.
Oh, okay.
As for our venue, it's the Baltimore Arena in wow, go figure, Baltimore, Maryland. And this is the same arena that was used for the Great American Bash in 1988 and 1989.
Mm-hmm.
Now, our attendance was around 10,000 and our commentators are Jim Ross and Bob Caudle. We are in that, back to that again, not sure why. But as for the number one song in the U.S. on this day, you're going to be pretty excited, Justin.
Oh.
Step by Step by the New Kids on the Block.
Man.
They're doing a residency in Vegas this summer.
Oh, really? Well, hopefully it goes better than Backstreet Boys at the Sphere or the Globe or whatever it's called.
Oh, Lord. I know so many of my friends that are going to New Kids on the Block, and they're definitely all in their 40s.
Yes. I love New Kids on the Block. You know what? I can remember my mom our mom, she's your mom too, used to have a VHS tape where she recorded an episode of the Oprah Winfrey show back in the early 90s. And there were 3 guests on that show that day. There was MC Hammer.
Ooh.
There was the Ninja Turtles when they were doing that coming out of their shells music tour, concert
Yes.
tour. And there was the New Kids on the Block all in one episode. And I was in heaven because I was a fan of all those.
What a great episode. They just don't make them like they used to anymore.
I'm telling you, they don't. And they don't make Oprah anymore. There's only one person I know named Oprah.
Well, yeah, because she's like disappeared from her Ozempic usage. She's just like getting smaller and smaller. She's going away. But Justin, tell me about the background of this show we are talking about today.
Let's do it. This was the 6th Great American Bash event overall, but only the 3rd on pay-per-view, and it's the 2nd one that was promoted under the WCW name. However, this would be the final time that the Great American Bash was promoted under the NWA banner, as WCW left the NWA in January of 1991. So about 6 months after where we're sitting right now. Now, there was one dark match for the live crowd before the show. A guy named David Sierra. And you might be saying, well, who is that? Well, we previously saw him on a previous Wrestle Recap as the Cuban Assassin. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So David Sierra defeated Mr. X, who is more famously known as Moondog Rex. And Moondog Rex was the original guy who played Smash in Demolition before they decided, oh, even in the face paint, everybody can tell that's Moondog Rex. We got to hire another guy. And they got Crusher Khrushchev, a.k.a. Barry Darsow, a.k.a. Smash.
There have been so many demolitions so far.
Yeah. Well, and we're about to add another one next week.
Oh, Lord. Well, Justin, before we go any further, we need some
Wrestle Stats.
The Wrestle
Some
Stats?
Wrestle Stats.
We got the Wrestle Stats. The average age of wrestlers on this pay-per-view today is 33 years old. The youngest, El Gigante, at 24 years old. And the oldest, the Iron Sheik, Sheiky Baby himself. He is a spry 48 years old.
I finally watched that TikTok you sent me of him on Jerry Springer. That was wild.
It's so funny. And if you watch that and still think that Jerry Springer was a shoot, I got news for you. But let's get into it. Out of the 222 wrestlers that we have watched on Wrestle Recap, 124 of them are still alive today for a percentage of 55.86%.
My dog's still standing. I don't know if you can hear
Oh, that's
him
good.
barking.
Yeah, I could hear
there.
that. Yeah.
I've been trying to yell at him on mute. Oh, God, that wasn't even a burp. That sounded like you were trying to vomit.
Yeah, I know. It's really bad. Let's get into the beginning of the show.
Let's do this.
We have a CGI image of the U.S. Constitution and shots of the founding fathers with wrestlers' faces plastered onto their heads, which is disturbing both as a visual and as a thought. But we do have a WWE Hall of Famer as president now, so, you know.
Oh, wow.
And as we slowly zoom out of an American flag, stars fly by the screen, each one showing a little video of a different wrestler posing for the camera. And here we are, the Great American Bash. And to the arena we go, where 2 fireworks go off.
Yeah.
2. And
2.
then some more later. This is like somebody had an itchy trigger finger, or maybe just had an itch and had to like stop pushing the button and itch the, take a break. Maybe they had to do the pinch and roll depending on where the itch was. I don't know.
The what?
The pinch and roll. You don't know the pinch and roll?
No.
Oh boy, Michelle. All right. You can confirm this with your husband, but
I'm afraid.
If a guy has an itch on the balls, on the ball bag, you don't scratch it like you would with any other itch. You pinch where the itch is, and then you roll between your fingers.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
It's just how
I'm so confused, but now I'm very clear on why I didn't know what you were talking about. I thought this was something that I should have known.
No. It's one of those secrets that you don't learn about unless, you're in the inner circle.
I'm gonna ask him about it. What if he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, then I think you're just weird.
No. Just don't even tell what it is. Just say, do you know what pinch and roll is?
Okay. I'm going to film it too, secretly.
Okay. All right. Well, Jim Ross and Bob Caudle, they run down tonight's card, and we go to the ring for our first match.
Yes, we've got a singles match to start us off tonight, and it's a dude we haven't seen in a while, Mr. Buddy Landell versus Flying Brian Pillman. Now, the
Hmm.
last time we saw Buddy Landell was on Starrcade 1985, 5 years
Yeah.
ago. And what's crazy is he's 28 on this show. Like, I just thought he was way older. Like,
Yeah, no,
I thought
definitely.
he
And
was
I can't
closer to
even
like 48.
remember who he faced on that show. It's been so long ago. We've done so many of these since then.
I know, and it's weird. It's like WCW slash NWA is kind of going back this, based on last show and then this show. It's like they're kind of going back to their roots a little bit, but
Yeah.
I don't know. And of course, we just saw Flying Brian at WCW Capital Combat. Now, they even announce him as Nature Boy Buddy Landell, and he's literally Ric Flair, but like not. It's the same hair, the same sparkles, the same feathers. It's
Yeah.
weird.
But there's no entrance for him either, which is kind of a weird way to start the show. They go to the ring and he's just in the ring.
I noticed that a lot on this show. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
strange, especially like I feel like wrestling's done a good job now of starting it off hot. Like, they'll start off like an AEW show with MJF's music and you're just like, "Oh man, we're in." But
Yeah.
yeah, they're still kind of on this starting slow kick. But did you notice that JR said that we were at Starrcade 90?
I did not notice that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I thought I heard that and I went back and I was like, did he say? Yeah, it was a Starrcade 90. But speaking of entrance music, like poor Flying Brian, his music didn't even start till he was basically down the ramp and at the ring. And finally, like as he's pulling himself up into the ring, it started.
Yeah, yeah. And when he got in the ring, the Chiron popped up on the bottom of the screen, but the place where his name was supposed to be was empty.
Yeah, that same pinch-in roller. He's taking a break.
Yeah, I know. What's going on back there? A lot of itchy balls backstage at WCW.
Well, man, did you notice there were so many old people in the crowd? Like, I feel like they took the bus from the nursing home for like the monthly field trip. Like, I went to Olive Garden yesterday and there were two buses from Manor Park Nursing Home. And I was like, oh my God, it's Italian Day. They all came. And that's what I thought about this show.
Wow, they must have thought that this was like fine dining or
I
something.
know. It's
Yeah.
because when you're there, you're family. And they
Damn
want
it, you stole what I was about to say.
Dang it,
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
I did notice, talking about everybody, I noticed three people in the crowd right off the bat. Okay. There's a guy dead center, top of the aisle, man spreading in his tiny little shorts, like he's trying to catch a breeze down there. Okay. Then there's an old woman in sunglasses in the front row, looking like that old woman on the old Hallmark greeting cards. Remember the old cranky woman that was like Maxine, there you go.
Maxine, yeah.
And then there's an old man with his pants pulled up so far he could give himself a mammogram while he zipped them up.
Okay, I didn't notice those two dudes, but I did notice that woman because she had those gigantic sunglasses on that our grandmas used to wear, and they were so big they go over your regular glasses. I guess
Right, and they wore huge regular glasses too.
Yes, and I'm like, I guess it took until about like 2008 to determine we could make sunglasses that are prescription.
But you got to get the transition lenses. I mean,
I cannot. I had my healthy dose of transition lenses when I went to Renfest. I cannot do it again. Cannot do it again. But I noticed someone in the audience later, so we're going to talk about that later. But not only does Buddy think he is Ric Flair, but then he starts posing like Hulk Hogan. And JR comments, he's like, that physique is not his forte. Ouch. But
you know what's funny is in the 90s, there was an independent wrestler that went by the name Macho Warrior Rick Hogan.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he had all four of those guys' names as his name.
That's fun. Yeah, and because he was even doing like the faces, and I was like, is this guy's gimmick? Like,
Well, a couple things about the arena here as you watch the show. As we mentioned last week, tons of WCW signage and logos and zero visual references to the NWA. So they're really kind of already moving away from that. Also, the ring ropes are now blue, black, and yellow. Looks really sharp. Did you like that?
I liked it. I liked it better than the white. It looked a little more professional or something.
Yeah. And that entranceway, like once again, much better than WWF's entranceways at the time.
Oh, way better. And like I did catch the wow sign at one point. And I was like, oh, that looks really bad. Like really bad.
You finally saw it.
I know. Well, I think Buddy's funny, like he was using the ref to block himself and he was like making funny faces, at Flying Brian. And so that made me ask, like, is that truly his gimmick? Just like copying other wrestlers and like being a troll in the ring, kind of?
Well, so there's been so many nature boys in the wrestling
Right.
business. There was Buddy Landell, there was Ric Flair, there was Buddy Rogers, there was I'm forgetting one. We've seen him before. Anyway, I if I'm remembering history right, Flair and Buddy Landell started around the same time and were both using the nature boy thing, and then just somehow ended up, in the same company at the same time. So
Mm,
it's just one of those things that just happened.
yeah. Well,
In
Flying
fact,
Brian.
there's Dutch Mantel, who we're going to see on this show. There was another wrestler out there named Dutch Mantel.
What the? I guess they didn't have the internet to like
I
come up with
guess,
your
yeah,
wrestling name and be like, does anyone else have this name?
yeah, yeah,
That's so weird because Dutch Mantel, like that is the most random name I can think of.
yeah.
How strange. Well, Flying Brian has those orange and black tiger stripe trunks on, because he like played for the Bengals and apparently won like some courage award through the Bengals. But it just made me like want Frosted Flakes real bad. I was like, they're great. Do you like Frosted Flakes?
I haven't had any breakfast cereal in probably 20 years.
Oh my God, how are you alive? I like live and thrive on breakfast cereal. Like I eat it at least 5 times a week.
I know. I don't think I've had it since I lived in my dorm in college, and I only ate it because it was free.
Hell, no wonder you're so skinny. Jesus. Well, Flying Brian, I'm just shocked right now. Flying Brian wins this match in 9 minutes and 29 seconds. What'd you think of it for being the opener?
You know what? Not bad. Not bad. It really had no stakes, but Flying Brian, he's over with the crowd at this point, and they had a good match, I thought. So no complaints here. What'd you think?
Yeah, I actually thought it was better than I thought it was gonna be. Like, it ended
Yeah.
up better than I thought it was gonna be, and, I thought Buddy made it really entertaining because again, he did something different. So, like, right
Yeah.
now, with us watching these shows back to back to back, I'm quick to notice different things, and I appreciate them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Gordon Solie is on the arena floor to talk about the main event and Vader's debut before sending us back to the ring for the next match. Not a lot of talk.
Yeah, this was really quick, but I love how he accidentally referred to El Gigante as, and we'll also see the debut of El Gante.
I
What?
mean, hey, at least he didn't say Gigante or something weird.
Uh-uh.
Take me to the next singles match, Justin.
All right, another okay, I gotta stop. Singles match coming up: the Iron Sheik versus Mike Rotunda. Now, we last saw Rotunda at Capital Combat, the last WCW pay-per-view. We haven't seen the Iron Sheik since Wrestle War 1989, more than a year before this. So it's been a while for the Iron Sheik. He's, like we said at the beginning of the show, the oldest one on here, 48 years old, while Mike Rotunda is a spry 32.
I felt like it had been way longer since we'd seen the Iron Sheik. Like, I thought it was gonna be
Yeah.
like 87 or 88.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why didn't either of these guys get an entrance or music or anything? They're just standing in the ring.
I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Like we could see them entering behind Gordon in that last little bit there. So I don't know. Very odd choice here.
I mean, music always gets the crowd pumped. I don't get it. I don't get it. I
Yeah.
don't get it.
I don't know. Well, continuing from our discussion last week about him, the former varsity club member is now formally known as Captain Mike Rotunda because he owns a boat.
It is. I just.
This had to be Jim Hurd idea. This had to be one of his stupid ideas.
It had to be. It's almost as dumb as Ricky Saints. What?
Oh God.
I hate it so much. So Iron Sheik attacked Mike Rotunda before the match started, right? And he was beating it with his like Iranian flag, and then he started like choking him with his jacket. And JR referred to this as a terrorist attack.
Oh Lord.
I laughed out loud. I'm not gonna lie. 'Cause I was like, oh my
I mean,
God.
here we go. 1990. Here we go. Between Mike Adkins, Pee Wee Anderson, and Nick Patrick, WCW really cornered the market on dark-headed referees with mustaches. It's like the generic referee on the old video games. Remember, they'd just be like, I don't think that's based on anybody. That's just like some guy.
Yes, they all look the exact same.
It's
I mean,
weird.
it is weird. And I'm like, Did they do that are they trying to make us think it's the same guy? I just don't know, but
I don't know.
yo, this match is pretty short, and these guys are way too sweaty for a 6-minute match. Although I don't think Mike Rotunda is the one sweating. I think the Iron Sheik is just like pouring profusely and it's just kind of attacking Mike Rotunda at this point, kind of like the blob. It just kind of takes you over.
Yeah, well, I couldn't take my eyes off of Sheik's belly button. Like
What
it
was that?
protrudes so much. Like Sheik took a suplex and it looked like somebody thumped a jello mold.
Yeah, because dude, I texted you and I was like, why is the Iron Sheik's belly button falling out? Like, was that like a hernia? Because it didn't always look like that.
I don't think it did, so it must have been something. I mean, good Lord, he had a hooter down there. I don't know what that was.
Thumping a jello mold and now you're calling it a hooter. Oh my God.
This is
insane.
classic content, folks. I mean, 5 stars on the iTunes podcast store, please.
We should really have a Patreon for this level. This level.
Right. Oh, and there's my dog, right, coming in and joining the show. So, I mean, there's something for everybody here.
Something for everyone. I mean, I did appreciate the Iron Sheik doing some crowd work as a heel because I think in this era, wrestling needs more of that. Like, it seems like the really old school guys do it and the new guys not so much. But yeah, I appreciated that.
Yeah, well, Mike Rotunda wins a fairly quick match in 6 minutes and 46 seconds. Were you happy with this one?
Yeah, it was fun. Iron Sheik is always funny. But the hooter and the jello mold, that was just distracting me. Did you like it?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. You know,
Yeah.
they're kind of finding their way with what they want to do with whom. So it's fine. Yeah. So as the Iron Sheik celebrates like he won the match, which was very weird, we go back to Gordon Soley, who is with Harley Race, who we haven't seen in a bit. Harley reminds us that he once lost the NWA World Championship to Tommy Rich, who he's facing tonight. And he adds that if Ric Flair isn't on his toes tonight, he's a beaten man, just like Tommy Rich. And then we go on to our next match.
Yes, we've got that Doug Furnace guy. Remember, they kind of talked to him last week. So we've got Doug Furnace versus Dutch Mantel, which we haven't seen Dutch Mantel since Starrcade 1986. So
It's been a long time. It's weird. They're just bringing all these guys back.
I know, right? Well, Doug Furnace, we got to talk about him a little bit because we've never talked about him before. So he was born December 11th, 1959, and he died on March 2nd, 2012 at the age of 52. Man, that's disappointing. I figured a fit guy like that would be around for a while. But anyway, he's 30 on this show, and the last pay-per-view we'll see him wrestle on is ECW Living Dangerously in 1998. So he's got a decent career. He's not one of these guys that we see twice and then he goes away like Conquistador number 2 or, you know. His real name was Dwight Douglas Furnace, so pretty close. But before wrestling, he was a champion power lifter. And I mean, you look at him and you're like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
He started wrestling in 1986 and would go on to wrestle for the big 3, quote, quote, in the 90s, which is WCW, WWF, and ECW. Let's get into the match, bro.
Yeah, and once again, both of these guys are magically in the ring again with no entrances. What is happening?
The only thing I can think is like they were on a time constraint. Like they paid for, 3 hours because it was like 2 hours and 52 minutes. And so maybe they thought, but still the entrances weren't that long back then. We could have had some.
I don't know. It changes later in the show, but early on, it's almost like they're telling us, these guys don't matter that much. Have fun.
Yeah, it was kind of frustrating. But I've got a question. Where the hell is Oil Trough, Texas? Because JR says it's in West Texas. Wrong. And then I was like, wait, is it just like a nickname? Like, is he actually from like where we live, but it's a nickname?
See, I couldn't tell if he was saying oil trough or oil drop because it sounded like both at different times.
Yeah, it was Trough because I watched with the subtitles. I mean, it could have been wrong,
trough.
but
Still,
yeah.
I mean, would it surprise you if the area we lived in was called oil trough? I mean, really?
No, but I Googled it and there is an Oil Trough, Arkansas.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so I don't know if he just got confused. I don't know. They're making places up at this point.
Well, it also didn't help that the Chiron spelled Dutch Mantel's name wrong.
Yeah, I don't know how you misspell that. It's not. It's not like a
I don't
hard one.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, hell, move over, George the Animal Steel. Dutch Mantel just beat you in the ugly sweater contest, aka being hairy AF.
He's so he's so fuzzy.
Oh my God, JR. He said, you can tell he's not real concerned about his appearance. I was like,
Yeah.
man, he is sassy this show.
I'm telling you, I don't know who had the tighter perm, Doug's head or Mantel's back.
Oh God, it was so bad. And yeah, JR, he's like, Mantel has the ZZ top hair and beard. Hello, back hair? Are you not going to mention the back hair? And like,
Yeah, it's rare that you can see somebody who their head hair blends in with their facial hair, which blends right into their body hair.
yeah, I'm pretty sure my husband would be that way if he didn't manscape. I'm pretty sure because like his beard will grow into his hairline in the back if he doesn't like keep it calm. But
Oh,
hey, again, all I can think about is the hairball episode of Ren and Stimpy with Warf. Warf. That's all I can think about. The Warf is back, everybody.
Yeah, throwback to earlier episodes here.
So why does Mantel kind of look like an early 2000s Mick Foley? Little bit.
He kind of does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of does. And also, why does a guy in the front row with his back to the camera look just like Freddie Mercury? Did you see that?
I didn't notice that. Darn.
There's a guy in a white tank top and white shorts with like dark hair. And then like later in the show, you see the front side of him and he's even got a mustache like Freddie Mercury. And I was like, holy crap.
Was it him?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
I doubt. What? What? No, he would be at a WWF show at this point. But I did enjoy watching this Doug Furnace guy. Maybe I just liked his bald body. The smoothness was a relief for my eyes, but I did like watching him.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like most guys who are like billed as being a strong man, oh, strongest man in the world, they aren't very agile or exciting in the ring. They're just like throw people around. But like Doug Furnace was getting it. He was doing like leapfrogs and all sorts of stuff. He was great.
Oh yeah, I was impressed with him, and of course, he did win that match in 11 minutes and 18 seconds. It was a match that didn't mean anything, but it was a good showing for him, I think.
Yeah, no, fun match. Fun match. Couldn't complain one bit about it.
Yeah, so Gordon Solie is with Jim Cornette and his tennis racket.
Ooh.
And Cornette is discussing the upcoming matches. And he brings up the Southern Boys, mentioning that Steve Armstrong wanted to be a country singer, but had to give it up because of his throat, because someone wanted to cut it. And I'm like, what did this Steve guy do? Like, is he in the country mafia? And so now he's like in the witness protection and he plays the part of a wrestler? Like, what did that mean?
I think you just wrote a new Dan Brown novel.
Yes. Dan Brown.
Yeah.
He's like Da Vinci Code guy, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Books. I'm not very good at them. Cornette continues that these Southern boys should be questioning whether they're even good enough to get in the ring with Midnight Express. And surprisingly, he says that the Southern boys might be champions one day, but just not today.
Well, let's get on into that next match. It's a singles match. Harley Race versus Tommy Rich. Now, we last saw Tommy Rich on Capital Combat. Last show we did. Haven't seen Harley Race since WWF Royal Rumble 1989, a year and a half before this, and in the WWF. So if you remember, we saw Harley Race on the very first episode we ever watched on Wrestle Recap. So it's like he's coming back home. To me, it always felt weird when he was in the WWF.
Fully agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, no entrances for these guys. And as we mentioned before, both of them are former NWA World Heavyweight Champions. And it kind of seems like this match would have been a bigger deal since Tommy Rich beat Harley Race for the belt 10 years before this. You'd think they'd at least get some special introductions or entrances or something.
I know, and it kind of bugged me because, like, at this point, you can tell Harley's like getting older. You know,
Yeah.
he's significantly older and slower since we saw him on Starrcade '83. But you know, I don't know. I have my theories, but it's probably rec spec. But hey, this is the first time I noticed him, and you'll see it many times in the show. But there are like some fun, like purple, orange, and green, like beams of light coming down the ring. That was cool. Did you see those?
Yeah, they're really doing a lot with their production. I mean, we saw when WWF was really amping up their stuff, and then comparatively, NWA and WCW just like they look kind of grainy and just kind of like
Mhm.
blah. They're really trying here, and I think it shows.
I agree. I appreciate that.
All right, that short shorts man spreader in the crowd at this point. He's got to have a ball hanging out or something. Like you can't even see the shorts anymore by this point. It's really bothering me.
He's I gotta go back and look at this guy and see if he's a pinching and a rolling because there's gotta be a
Maybe.
reason he's man spreading. I remember our dad in like the early 90s would wear like those shorty shorts, like they were like blue corduroy. Remember those?
Yeah, yeah,
Ugh.
made by like Ocean Pacific.
Yeah. Ugh. So weird. Question though. Is Harley Race wearing his King of the Ring gear?
Yes.
I saw the crown and I was like,
And it's still off center, which drove me
yes.
nuts. In fact, JR tries to explain it, saying that Harley must be a fan of the Sacramento Kings, which, okay, JR, we
What
already said Harley Race is from St. Louis or Kansas City, I think. So, no, no.
what the hell, JR? Just don't acknowledge it, JR. Just don't acknowledge it. But hey, I know I said he was slowing down, but I will always be so impressed with how well Harley Race sells. Like he may not be
Mm.
in his prime, but he can sell like he is.
Yeah, no, he was one of the best, absolutely
Oh
one of the
yeah.
best, and he trained so many wrestlers over the years too. I mean, he was great. He was great. Well, Harley Race
Mhm.
wins a pretty quick match in 6.5 minutes, and from there we go on to Gordon Soley once again. He's with Mean Mark and Paul E. Dangerously. It's been a
What?
while.
It has.
Yeah, yeah. And we haven't seen these two together before. Paul says that tonight, Ric Flair will prove that he's the greatest of all time and that Mean Mark is the heir apparent to that throne. He then shows a Lex Luger t shirt and hands it to Mean Mark to show what he's going to do to Lex Luger. And Mean Mark takes the t shirt, tries to rip it in half. Oh, that's one high quality t shirt. Try again. I'll just turn it around here. And after the second attempt, the shirt rips. And we hope everybody forgets this moment when Meat Mart becomes the Undertaker.
Why did they do that? At least you got to cut a little slit in it to get it
Yeah, come
started.
on. Like Hogan, even though, take it from Hogan, he knew to cut it a little bit.
I guess they were trying to prove a point that he's better because he doesn't have to cut it.
At this point, I wouldn't put it past them.
I don't know, but hey, we've got another match, and it's a tag team match for the NWA United States Tag Team Championship. So we've got the Midnight Express, who are our champions, and of course, they've got Mr. Jim Cornette with them, versus the Southern Boys. Now, we saw the Midnight Express at Capital Combat. Mr. Bobby, beautiful Bobby, and Stan Lane. However, these other dudes, these Southern boys, we don't know them, so we're going to talk about them. So we've got Steve Armstrong. He was born March 16th, 1965, and he is still alive today at the ripe old age of 59. But he was only 25 on this show. So he was kind of a baby. But the last pay per view we'll see him on is WCW World War III in 1995. So, 5 years, decent. Okay. His real name is Stephen James. I understand why he would change it. That's kind of a generic name. I get that. But he was part of the Armstrong wrestling family, which includes his dad, Bullet Bob Armstrong, and his brothers, Brad, Scott, and Brian, who is better known as Road Dogg.
Oh, you didn't know?
Although he had some brief runs in the WWF and Jim Cornette's Smoky Mountain Wrestling, he spent most of his career in WCW. But
Yeah.
let's talk about his buddy over here, Tracy Smothers, which makes so much sense to me that that's his name as a Southern boy. Because when I hear the word smother, I think of like Cracker Barrel food, like
Like
casserole.
gravy.
Yeah, like smothered. I don't know. I don't like that. It's kind of a gross word. I don't know why. But anyway, Tracy Smothers, he was born September 2nd, 1962, and he died in 2020 at the age of 58. And he was 27 on this show. So we got a bunch of babies being the Southern boys. The last pay per view we'll see Tracy on was ECW Guilty as Charged 1999. His real name is Tracy Stanton Smothers, and he was trained by Stan Lane of the Midnight Express. So what a cool, kind of debut for them, considering he was trained by him. But his daughter actually went on to become a wrestler under the name of Jessie Belle Smothers. Do you know where she's at
Yeah.
now?
Not really. I tried to look her up, and I know that she was working for WOW, Women of Wrestling,
Mm.
for a little while. I don't know if she still is or not, but I didn't see a ton out there about her, so I don't know that she's had any major success.
I guess, do you pronounce it Jezebel? That would make more sense instead of Jezebel.
Maybe so. Maybe
Makes
so.
sense. But oh man, Justin, these Southern dudes. Wow.
Oh
Okay.
boy.
So I got to tell you about this. The Southern boys, they come out and they are dressed in some gray coats like Confederate soldiers. And in case you weren't convinced that they were Confederate soldiers, they had sequined Confederate flags on the back of these jackets. And
Yeah.
so they get to the ring, they take them off, and they reveal Confederate flag trunks. They
Yeah.
are indeed Southern.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I can see why Steve was afraid of getting his throat cut.
Yeah. You can't take that flag away. That's history. Okay, you're gonna stare at Steve Armstrong's ass for an hour to learn history. What are you doing?
And it was sequined too, which is
Yeah.
even weirder. But this Steve Armstrong guy, he looks like Logan Paul, like both in his face and his alignments.
I had the exact same note. I went in there and said, Steve Armstrong equals Logan Paul. That's crazy.
It's like his aura, his, obviously with like the Confederacy thing, but like just physically, he looks like him and kind of moves like him. I thought it was weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Good call.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the Midnight Express, they have their fruit stripe gum pants on, which I appreciate. Those
Well, that
weren't
means
problematic.
if you lick their pants, the taste will be gone in 5 seconds, is what that means.
Hey, if I can get a taste out of any pants, that's exciting, right?
Wait, what?
I don't
Are
know.
we what?
That sounds like a Willy Wonka thing. Edible pants. They flavored pants. I don't know. I mean, wouldn't you wear pants if they had a flavor? Like, I would buy some.
I'm sure mine do, but I don't know if it's one that anybody wants.
Well, the best cornet-ism of the night was, I guess he's talking to one of the Southern boys, but he says,
No, he was talking to. It's the same one that I wrote down. He was talking to somebody in the crowd.
"Oh, was it? Okay, I thought he was talking to one of the Southern boys because it didn't really show who he was talking to."
Yeah.
But he goes, you say it, because you can talk like Cornette."
Cornette goes, "Why don't you sit down and wipe that ugly off your face, you stinking pig-faced moron?"
There you go. That's what it was. That wouldn't have been near as funny if I read it. So, yes, it was so funny. And I also just love how he's always yelling, "Get away from me," at the camera people. It's so funny.
They played a great bit on his podcast earlier this week where, WWE now, they make up these wrestler names that are just so weird,
Yeah.
right? And so they played a game, he and his co-host. Is this a WWE trademarked name or a porn star's name?
Oh,
They were fooling me. I was guessing along like, oh my God, really?
wow. Was Ricky
Yeah.
Saints one of them? I'll get over this.
No. This is like people who are on like LFG or in that ID program or something.
Oh gosh. Well,
Yeah.
hey, apparently Stan Lane suddenly holds a black belt in karate. So he starts
Oh.
busting out these karate moves. Like this probably could have been helpful in previous matches.
You would think so. And he's the Midnight Express, so he can move like a ninja in the midnight, But at one point, he and Tracy Smothers are like in a standoff of karate poses. And it looked like those karate fighter toys that sponsored the WWF shows in the 90s.
I feel like, yeah, because karate and martial arts and everything, that was such a big thing in the 90s.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
It was the Ninja Turtles that like kicked it off.
And Three Ninjas, for sure.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because it's all about the Three Ninjas. I love that movie. But hey, the crowd is like mega freaking hot for this match. And the Southern boys are hella over it. And honestly, I would have understood if they called an audible to have them win the match.
This was insane. It was so good. And like the crowd, like you said, white hot. And like even when it turned into a big brawl between all 4 guys, it was beautifully done. Like it wasn't like out of control. And then when the Midnights hit the rocket launcher off the top, I thought that was the finish. Like it sucked me right in.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was so good. And sometimes we watch these old shows and during the match you get kind of, your mind starts wandering, but no, I was super in it. And Jim Cornette has actually stated that this match right here is one of the best of the Midnight Express's career. And
I believe it.
get
Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, the Midnight Express did win this match and retain their championship in 18 minutes and 14 seconds, but honestly, I think it would have been pretty freaking cool if the Southern boys won because they did awesome.
Yeah, this match was great, and really the tag team action on this show throughout is pretty consistently good. But this was a good start to it. This match was a blast. It was perfect.
Oh yeah, I loved it so much. Well,
Yeah.
Gordon is with the fabulous Freebirds, and they are looking extra
Oh,
fabulous.
the hell was this? Ugh.
Drugs, Justin, drugs. They
I
have
thought I was on them. I was like, good Lord, what was in that cheese I ate earlier?
cheese. Well, they have like pink and gold eyeshadow along with like this glittery lipstick that matches their glittery suspenders. And like interestingly, they're wearing their t-shirts, but like just around their necks. It kind of looks like an infinity scarf, those like circle scarves that just kind of sit on your
It's
shoulders.
like when you put a t-shirt on and then you forgot to put deodorant on, so you just leave your head in it while you can put your deodorant on, you know?
Yes, that is exactly what they looked like. And
Yeah.
so they say they're like, the Freebirds are flying high tonight. And I'm like, oh, yes, I can tell. Hi, I believe you. Um,
Yes.
then it gets weird, as if it wasn't weird already. One of them, I don't even remember who it was, says, there's nothing with four wheels they can't drive and nothing with four legs they can't ride. And they're going to ride all night long. What?
This was just so weird.
Oh gosh. So I think Jimmy Garvin was the one that said that. And then Michael Hayes, he continues and says that they came to rock the house and there are two things the Steiners can do about it. Nothing and like it. I kind of liked that line. Kind of funny. But this is weird as hell and it stays weird as hell.
But if there's two things you can do, but one of them is nothing, then there's nothing you can do. So there's not two things that you can do. But
It's an either
man,
or.
man, maybe I should be on drugs. I don't know.
Maybe we could understand it a little bit. Maybe we should be doing cocaine throughout this entire thing so that we can
You
get
know
in their
what?
mindset.
Let's go back to Starcade 83 and start doing these shows on drugs.
Yes, let's do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, let's before we do that, before I text my dealer, let's get into another match. It's a singles match, and there's a big debut in this one. It is the Z-Man. He's not the big debut. We've
I
seen
was
him
like,
before.
what?
Versus Big Van Vader.
Ooh.
Holy crap. We're about to start an era here. We last saw the Z-Man, Capital Combat. That's fine. Don't worry about him much. He's about to die. Big Van Vader. Oh my God.
Oh my
Born
God.
May 14th, 1955. Unfortunately, we lost him June 18th, 2018 at the age of 63, which was very, very sad. On this pay-per-view, he's 35 years old, and we're going to see him all the way through WWF In Your House 24. So somewhere in the mid-90s or so. Real name, Leon Allen White. Get this, he was actually drafted by the Los Angeles Rams in the 1978 NFL draft before getting into wrestling. And of course, he wrestled for WCW and WWF and in Japan all over the place before being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2022. What a career. What a athlete. One of the best big men of all time. I'm so happy Vader's here.
I'm shocked that he was 35 on this pay-per-view just because, we're used to, okay, Mick Foley was 24, Mean Mark, and I didn't realize that he was like a grown man already.
One of my favorite memories, and not many people I don't think will remember this because I don't know if this game was really popular, but in the 90s, I had a game on our computer, our desktop computer called WWF In Your House.
I remember that.
And each wrestler, not only would their theme music play while you were wrestling, but if you were them, like each wrestler had their own background that was behind the ring. It's like Shawn Michaels looked like a nightclub back there, and Vader's was like a bunch of mountains. Like he was the what did they call him? Like the Colorado Bull or something like that. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's just a fun memory of mine.
That was a fun. I liked playing Shanghai Greatest Moments on that same computer.
That was such a fun game. I love that game.
I just watch it on YouTube, like playthroughs.
It was so relaxing.
It was.
For anybody who doesn't know, it's mahjong, but it was like, it was just so beautifully 90s mahjong. I can't even begin to describe it.
Man, we were so easily entertained back then. Like that's why 90s kids are the best because we were just easily entertained. I mean, look at Pogs. We were entertained by Pogs. Come on now. But hey, fun fact, Z-Man's music, it kind of sounds like a slightly off version of American Woman by Guess Who / Lenny Kravitz. Because it's like da-na-na-na-na,
Yeah.
da-na.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's kind of like who is it, Road Warriors that have the fake
Oh, Iron Man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
whoever it is that has that.
And we're going to see a lot of that in WCW. In fact, there was a name for them. What did they call them? Like Jimmy Hart versions or something like that, where like they're because like DDP's music in WCW, that was a straight rip off of Smells Like Teen Spirit from Nirvana.
Yeah.
And like who was it? Even Flow by Pearl Jam. That was that Ravens, I think, or something. Yeah. But anyway, they actually did something new with Z-Man's entrance here, starting at the top of the ramp and then like following him down the ramp to the ring. Like think about John Cena's entrance that he's had forever, except, like not as much interest. That's what this looked like.
Well, yeah, John Cena's entrance is cool because you can't even see him.
Well, next week we're going to be talking about what?
Hey,
that wasn't the end?
We're going to be seeing a lot of John Cena around here. And just real quick, you mentioned DDP. How cool is it that he's helping Lex Luger learn how to walk again?
Oh my God. Isn't that cool?
Oh my God. Like I almost cried. Like when Lex stood up by himself, I'm like, how is this wrestler getting this to happen? But like no one in the medical field has,
Yeah.
Like,
it's unbelievable. Like it made me want to try DDP yoga.
Me too. Yeah. I've heard all kinds of good stories. I'm like, is this man a doctor? Did he go to medical school? Because I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
But back to the match. Z-Man is giving Major Mario Lopez like AC Slater vibes with this hair and the gear. Definitely.
I could see it.
Yeah. Well, Vader, he comes to the ring and he has this giant mask, headpiece, upper body decoration. Like, what is that? I thought it was like either a goat, like it kind of reminded me of like Jack Perry's goat head, but it was way bigger. Or I was like, is this Predator? Like we did RoboCop. Are we doing Predator?
Right. Well, at least here, I think it's supposed to be based off of a samurai getup because he was coming over from Japan. Yeah. But when he sets it down and that steam shoots up from it, I was just like, oh, chills. Like I was waiting for it to shoot out. And then it happened. I was like, oh my God, Vader's here. Although like it kind of looked like he was doing a lot of hand movements to like kill time before the thing finally went off. He's like, sets it down and he's like, I mean,
that thing had to be heavy. Because at one point it looks like his tag team partner because he's like walking alongside it and it's like half a person pretty much.
Right.
Well, Vader, I mean, he looks just like I remember him looking. Some of these other guys, I look back, I'm like, that's not what I remember. But do you know why Vader holds such a special place in my heart?
I think I can guess. But go ahead.
I want you to guess.
I'm going to guess because he had a cameo appearance on one of your favorite shows ever, Boy Meets World.
Yes, he did. Okay, because he played Frankie Stechino's dad. Now, Frankie, he was kind of a bully in the earlier seasons, but then they kind of made friends with him. He's a real big boy, and he talks about his dad being a wrestler, and his dad was Vader. And they end up, going to WrestleMania. Sean and Corey, they get WrestleMania tickets and they get to go, but it's the same night as prom, and he doesn't want to ditch Topanga, so he's trying to be in both places at once. So he'll like run to the ring, and they've got the Vader mask on. They're like, yeah. And then at the end of the episode, he brings Topanga to the ring and they have their last dance in the middle of the ring. Oh.
Did she, since she was in a ring anyway, did she threaten to fight Maitland Ward?
Oh man, that's a thing this week, isn't it? Wow. I'm surprised you have such a current cultural reference to talk about, Justin.
I know. I'm pretty impressed with myself too.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Although my wife did have to explain to me that Kendrick Lamar and Drake are two adults who are having some battle. But
I had to have that explained to me around the Super Bowl time. I was so we like Kendrick. I was very confused. But yes, he holds a special place in my heart because he was the only pro wrestler to be on Boy Meets World.
Do you remember the Bushwhackers being on Family Matters?
No, but I'm going to find that episode now. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, two other things that Vader was known for, being stiff in the ring a lot. And also, apparently, not doing a great job of washing his gear.
Ew.
There's been reports that Vader was a sweetheart, a teddy bear of a man, but his shit stank.
Ew. Did he have a muffler too?
I don't know. Maybe he could have hid it in his mask though.
Ew. Hey, did you notice his mask was a little different? It had
Yeah, it was more like a luchador mask. It wasn't like that leather strappy thing that he usually wore.
and it like came down on like because the other one it like freed his lower jaw.
Right.
The
Yeah.
newer one, yeah. But anyway, a few clotheslines, a suplex, a running splash, and squash. Poor Z-Man, he looked so happy in the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know how we made a 2 minute and 16-minute match last as long as we did on this show, but we did it. Yeah.
It's because it was Vader in Boy Meets World. That's why.
Well, again, we're back with Gordon Soley, this time joined by the Horseman. What is it with Ole Anderson and black suspenders with the black golf shirt and the black slacks? He looks like the head tech at Circuit City, right?
He does. You know who his aesthetic kind of reminds me of? And I don't even know like if it's a particular I guess it is a particular sect. It's like 35 to 42-year-old white men who are usually a little heavier and it's like they're going for that like Irish look or like kind of as you said the Irish bartender look.
Yeah.
He dresses like that and it's like those guys that think they look really classy but to me I'm like you're trying too hard. That's what he looks like.
It's like the Mumford and Sons fan club.
Yes. That. And they drink a lot of IPA beer.
Right.
But it's not a hipster necessarily because it's less it's like more stinky, more Circuit City than a hipster.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Barry Windham says that they have a plan for tonight, and Ole says that tonight they'll make sure that Ric Flair walks out as champion. And that your hard drive also needs more RAM. Thank you.
Well, let's get to the next tag team match. As you said, we've got some good ones, but this one, it's not for a title or anything. It's just the fabulous Freebirds versus the Steiner brothers. I have to say it like that just because if you saw what they were wearing, you would too. But we saw all these guys last on WCW Capital Combat, so we're fresh on them. The fabulous Freebirds, they still have their t-shirts all goofy around their necks, which they continue to wrestle in them like that. Like, I thought they would take them off. Call me crazy. But yeah, I don't know if it's the like low ponytails or what, but this whole look and vibe feels very young Bucksy.
This was a step down, I think. This wasn't a lateral move. This felt like a step down to me in the presentation of the Freebirds because like they were kind of cool rock stars before this, and especially if you look back in Dallas in World Class, like these guys, part of the reason they were such heels was they were so cool. The guys were jealous that they weren't the Freebirds, right? And now they just look like they got into their mom's makeup drawer. They look ridiculous. I think it's a step down.
No, that definitely is what they look like. I'm like, boys, y'all are terrible at makeup. But do you think they were just trying to do it to kind of okay, well, first of all, do you think that was their choice or do you think they were told you're doing this?
I don't know. And it's also like not of the time, right? Like that kind of glam rock that went out with like Twisted Sister and stuff like years before this. It's too late. And it's just, I don't know. I didn't understand it.
What I was going to say is maybe they were just trying to differentiate themselves from other tag teams. Because remember last week we did the Rock and Roll Express versus them. And I said it was a mirror match because they basically all look the same. And so I don't know if they were just trying to, I don't know. I'd be so curious. I mean, they seem super into it. So if it was their choice, I'd believe it.
I guess somebody should ask Michael Hayes about it now or Jimmy Garvin. They're both still alive.
Right. Well, oh Lord, Justin, if the Confederacy wasn't enough for you, Rick Steiner, he tags into the ring, starts pointing at them and saying the F word, not the F-U-C-K word, but referring to a slur for gay men. Then they get the entire crowd chanting it, even zooming in on several audience members' faces who are chanting it.
Yeah, including the Freddie Mercury guy, which is really coincidental if you think about it.
Yeah, and like I'm looking at all these dudes, right? And I'm like, I bet the guys in that crowd are begging and praying that their jobs never see that footage.
Oh my God. That's the truth. Like
Yeah.
the first podcast I ever had was in the mid 2000s. It was before there was even an iPhone. You had to go on your computer and
Mhm.
listen to it.
Yep.
And a few years back, one of the other guys on that podcast said, "Hey, I found the old files. Should we like release these just for old time's sake?" And I was like, "Can we listen to them first? Because I can guarantee you there is stuff on that show I don't want anybody knowing I said."
Right. I mean, and I get it. Like it was a different time back then. Like I'm not
Yeah.
holding them, any of these people, to today's standard whatsoever. And I get it. It was a wrestling show. It's all tough and whatnot. But I mean, depending on what you do for a living, that could cost you your job. Like, who are those
Yeah.
guys? Like, you know?
Yeah.
Oh man. But okay. And like I said, it stays weird. Okay, it stays weird, and the Steiners get involved because if all of that wasn't enough, Justin, Jimmy Garvin, he tags out, and then Michael Hayes is in, and then Rick starts like presenting his butt to him, and then he crawls toward Michael Hayes like a dog and bites him on the butt, and I'm like, but you're the one calling them like gay and like calling them bad names.
Well, it makes sense though, because Rick is called the dog faced gremlin. So biting Michael's butt should be called kibbles and shits.
What? What? What?
Kibbles and shits, kibbles and shits, kibbles and shits.
Pinch and roll your kibbles and shits.
Oh no. No. If you got kibbles and shits where you pinch and roll, you gotta clean up.
You got a medical problem. There's some rerouting that needs to happen if that's the case.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Well, JR states that he thinks the Steiners will go down as the greatest brother duo in all of wrestling. So now
Brother.
in 2025, do you think that's true?
Oh boy. Steiners. I mean,
Dog.
yeah. I would contend that at this point, all these years later, the Usos
Oh, that's a good one.
would be a very, very close second. I think the Steiners were better in the ring technically,
Yeah.
but the Usos have had a lot more exposure and notoriety and everything. So I mean, they're definitely in the top three.
Brother.
Mhm.
You're forgetting Matt and Jeff Hardy.
Oh,
I'm like, because that's mine.
yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. I guess it's kind of an out of sight, out of mind thing. Although
They were just on NXT.
well, I know, but it just, yeah, they're up there too.
I
Yeah.
think they're my favorite brother duo just because of the star power behind them. Like, I think if Rick and Scott would have come later, the star power would have been there for them. But like, I feel like Matt and Jeff were just like to the moon. Like, you know, I don't know. Kind of like the Usos. Like, they're
They-
just like so hot right now.
They're the perfect guy for their era. Is
Oh,
what
yeah.
it was with the Hardys. I mean, when extreme was like everything had to be extreme in the
Yeah.
late 90s, and that's what they were, you know.
When I met Jeff Hardy, because I met them both, and I was such a Jeff Hardy girl. I had the biggest crush, and I told him, I was like, I had the biggest crush on you in the 90s. And he actually smiled in our picture because in everyone else's pictures, he just like, you know, he doesn't like smile or anything, but he smiled in ours.
Oh, that's
Oh,
sweet.
It is
That's sweet.
sweet. But anyway, I just want to know your opinion on that about the best
Yeah.
brother duo.
Well, quick observation that we didn't cover earlier, and I believe this is the first time we've seen this: the entrance ramp being even with the ring. Right? It's like
Mhm.
even more rare these days on TV, although we see it every now and then. But I really kind of dig it. I have this memory of WCW in the 90s with them having this set up, and I want to say that it was Rey Mysterio running down that aisleway, that elevated aisleway, and launching himself over the top rope onto a bunch of guys and just going,
Oh.
whoa, like never seen that before.
Yeah, I like that look too. I think that's how it was set up in AEW when Adam Cole came running out and broke his ankle because he jumped down off of it.
Yeah,
And
they've
it-
used that a few times.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
everyone was like, don't do that ring setup. And I was like, no, Adam Cole just shouldn't jump off of it and destroy his ankle.
Exactly.
That's what should have. But hey, I had a random thought during this match, and I could have had it during any of the matches. any of the matches because it doesn't just apply here. But I feel like there were less botches back then. And is that because moves just like weren't as complicated?
I, mm, I'll say this. I'm speaking out of turn because I'm not a wrestler,
Hmm.
but I think that there is a little bit of that. But even with the most basic stuff, they're slowing down. They're
Back
not.
then or now?
Yes. Back then, they
Oh,
took their time,
yeah.
right? And they
Hmm.
weren't trying to go move, 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 move. Taking the time, letting it
Yeah.
register, that sort of thing, that gives you more time to get set, get ready to go, make sure the other guy's ready to go. And I think
Yeah.
that's why.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I was just, there's pretty much a botch in every wrestling show you watch on TV now. And
Yeah.
I was just like, man, I never see big botches on
Yeah.
on these shows. So, that's interesting. Yeah, and I think it's just the speed like you always need something bigger and better. It's kind of like how you have to be way more talented to get into the NFL today than you had to be in like 1980. It's a
Mhm.
constant standard that's being raised. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Well, and
But
see, that's why I like a guy like Gunther these days,
mhm.
is because he
Yeah.
doesn't go fast.
Yeah.
He takes his time. It's methodical. You can see him thinking out a strategy. To me, that's 1,000 times better than, doing 1,000 things within 30 seconds.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, the Michael is a bitch chant was pretty funny. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Michael is a bitch. Michael is a bitch. It was fun. JR just had to add fuel to the Freebird fire when he says the Freebirds makeup would be popular in certain neighborhoods in San Francisco.
Oh
Hardy
Lord.
har
He did
har
that same
JR.
joke on the last pay-per-view. Like, it's JR, there's gay people in more than just San Francisco.
Right? Um, okay, the Steiner brothers, they win this match in 13 minutes and 45 seconds. But what I gotta say is it's weird how much Rick Steiner reminded me of Braun Breaker during this match, minus the whole butt presenting thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and at one point, either Rick or Scott ran around the ring and then double clotheslined
Mhm.
the Freebird, and Braun Breaker does that move.
Yeah,
And so it's so cool. It's so cool.
it was cool. So what'd you think of this match? I know you weren't a fan of the Freebirds wardrobe change and
I was
whatnot,
so
but
distracted by that. But again, we've said this so often, including last week. Michael Hayes, whatever he wants the crowd to do, they will do it.
it's true.
And it's insane to me just how good he is at just putting him right in the palm of his hand.
Maybe I should tweet him and be like, was that your idea? That makeup, was that your idea?" Maybe he'll
I
respond
don't
to
know.
me.
It wasn't my idea. The boss came to me, said I got a great idea. I don't know.
I feel like if we didn't know you better, it'd be like a Dusty Rhodes thing. But the thing is, if Dusty would have done that, it would have been cool.
Baby, I got into the makeup drawer of Sweet Sapphire. She making me look
Exactly.
pretty, baby.
It would have worked. That man could make anything work. But I'm ready to have him back. Goodness. But anyway, moving on. JR and Bob Caudle recap the night and announce the upcoming Halloween Havoc, which is always a great show. And they say that there are 3 more title matches tonight. And they talk about the in ring debut of El Gigante as well as Sting's injury. And they state that he has to be at 100% to beat Ric Flair. And I've noticed on this show, there aren't a ton of like backstage interviews, which I like because for a while, both in NWA and WWF, it was like there was an interview before each and every match, and it was just both opponents saying, I'm going to win. And that was it. Like, so I'm glad they've gotten away from that.
Bob Caudle looks like he has garlic on his breath.
What do you mean? Like literally, or is that a figure of speech?
No, like literally. You know how your grandfather would
Old man
burp
breath. Yes.
and it would always just smell like, Jesus, did you see like a garlic clove or something? Like it was just always that weird stinky ass burp. I feel like Bob Caudle smells like that.
Oh my God, you're so accurate. Cause like as soon as you said that, I was thinking like old man breath. And then you said grandpa. Um,
Yeah,
I totally understand what you're saying. I know
it's
that
weird.
smell.
And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll have a little burp under my breath and I'll let it out and go, damn, that smelled like a grandfather burp.
Grandfather Burt. Well, I went to Olive Garden yesterday, so I had garlic breath. But I
Oof.
I keep gum in my car for that
That-
purpose.
that's terrible. It's
No,
terrible.
today I went to Oscars, little burrito
Oh
place that gets
man, I
shut
haven't been
down
there
by the
forever.
Really? I mean, it's the only place that's so good it can get shut down by the health department like 4 times and no one cares. But man, that salsa had me oniony and garlicky today. I probably got bad grandpa breath right now.
Oh my god, I need to get some. I want to get like a jug of that Jumburrito salsa. What are we doing? We're talking about
What are
wrestling.
we
Let's get
doing?
into the
We're so
6-man tag team
hungry. We're
match.
so hungry. Yes.
It's the dudes with attitude, not Shawn Michaels and Diesel. This predates that. Versus the three horsemen.
Say.
So interesting little mix here because on the horseman side, we got Arn Anderson. Last saw him at Wrestle War 1990. Barry Windham, who we haven't seen wrestle since Chi-Town Rumble, which was forever ago. And then Sid Vicious, who we haven't seen wrestle since Halloween Havoc 89, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Now let's look on the other side of the ring. Junkyard Dog, who we haven't seen wrestle since Starrcade 88. Paul Orndorff, who we haven't seen wrestle since Survivor Series 1987.
Yeah.
Weird. But their partner in the Dudes with Attitude, we saw him debut on the last pay-per-view, El Gigante. So let's talk about him. Born January 31st, 1966, died September 22nd, 2010 at the age of just 44 years old. On this pay-per-view, he was 24 years old, and the final pay-per-view we're going to see him wrestle on is SummerSlam 1993. So we don't get him for a real long time. No. Remember that thing about the burps? There we go.
I just muted myself. Did you not see me?
Real name Jorge Gonzalez. He was billed as being 8 feet tall. He was actually about 7'7" or so.
Oh, only 7'7".
Right, exactly. Before wrestling, he was a basketball star in his home country of Argentina, and then after WCW, he would move on to the WWF, where he was known as Giant Gonzalez.
Interesting. Now, do you know, like, did he speak English at all?
I think some, yes.
Okay. Because I saw like him and Ole talking later and I was like, can he talk? Because if you can give him a mic, that'll be awesome. But
yeah,
dude, this match, like this whole El Gigante thing, this is the craziest thing I've seen in a long time. Because like seeing 6'9" Sid look small is crazy, but like they all look like little tiny toys around El Gigante, especially like Paul Orndorff and the ref. Like it looks comical.
Well, and you got to love Arn Anderson standing on the middle rope. He's like, who's taller now, huh? Big man. Like, get down, Arn.
Right? And like, oddly, what I thought was so weird about this match is that the 3 horsemen are getting cheered, even as heels. But I think it's totally just because of Sid.
Yeah, and they even showed a guy with a sign in the crowd saying Sid rules. Mm-hmm. Like, people just love Sid.
Yeah.
But Junkyard Dog. How do I say this kindly? Where his tights used to say thump, they now say that boy put on a few lbs.
Is his butt like a Jello mold too?
It's something. It's the 8th wonder of the world.
Hey man, let's see. How old was he in this match? Let me go back up here. He was 37. We all start losing that metabolism, Justin.
Oh, okay.
Oh gosh. Well, hey, I was kind of confused. Okay, Sid at one point was holding up this blue t-shirt, like pointed toward the center of the ring, and he was holding it. What was that? Did you see
Vader's muffler?
Oh, yuck. Yuck. Never mind. We're moving on.
Yeah. Sid here is wearing a singlet instead of trunks. And then it hit me. Sid in a singlet looks like Mr. Perfect drank the ooze.
Oh, yeah. Like Super Shredder.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Hey, I actually read something on Reddit because I always go on Reddit and like read about these shows. He was wearing a singlet to like cover up a recent scar. Like he had a surgery or something. Yeah.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. That's one of the fun facts I read. That's
right. Because remember when we had the skyscrapers a few shows ago and it wasn't Sid or Dan Spivey because Spivey had left and Sid was injured.
Yeah. There was some like scar on his stomach or whatever that I guess was still healing and looked kind of gnarly. So that's why he was in a singlet.
Interesting.
Yeah, Reddit teaches me all kinds of things. But so it was weird. I was comparing El Gigante to Andre in my head right when JR said Andre the Giant would look small next to El Gigante, which you always got to take that dig at WWF, don't you, JR?
Fuck JR. I mean, I appreciate you punching up, but oh, buddy.
Yeah. Well, Arn Anderson made me laugh with his face when El Gigante got in the ring. Like he had these wide eyes and looked afraid, and like all of the horsemen just cleared the ring at once. It was a great moment.
Yeah, all the horsemen were like really selling his size, and I almost wondered if it was like if they were selling it too much, given that these are like the big bad four horsemen. But this once, like, what's it gonna hurt, right?
Yeah, and I mean, they said that El Gigante, I think it was JR, says that like he has a 20-inch neck. And JR says that's most people's waist. And I'm like, no, JR. No grown adult has a 20-inch waist. Like I think 25-inch is like a very skinny girl. And I'm like, Justin
Yeah.
is super skinny. And let me guess, you're like a 27, 28?
Is that like pant size?
Yeah.
No, I'm like 30.
Oh, really? Wow,
Mhm.
you're moving up in the adult world, Justin.
Actually, I should probably move up a little bit because I like my bedtime candy. But
Yeah, well, you kind of touched on it, but I don't know why anyone's afraid of El Gigante because he doesn't do anything. Like, but I don't even care that he doesn't do anything because that was so cool to see a human that large next to other humans. Like the gimmick, it worked for this viewer because I was
yeah,
impressed.
yeah, no, I mean it was, and that's all it is just
Yeah.
look how damn big he is.
Is he like how tall is Omos? Is he about the same?
I don't think he's as tall.
Yeah,
I could be wrong,
I think
but
Omos is more like 7'3", 7'4" ish.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, well, hey, the crowd is chanting, "We want Sid. We want Sid." And he comes in very briefly, basically to just throw JYD and Paul Orndorff over the top rope, which gets him and the Horsemen DQ'd. So are we back to that rule now?
Well, it depends. What time is it? And then in the next match, we'll see. It's not a rule. It's just a floating rule because the dudes with attitudes win the match via disqualification in 8 minutes and 53 seconds. It was fun.
It was fun. I liked it. Total gimmicky, but I liked it. Hey, another thing I learned on Reddit was Paul Orndorff, he had like a severe injury, right?
Yeah, it was nerve damage.
Yeah, because they were talking about how his arm had already started to atrophy because he
Yeah.
couldn't, and like how one of his arms was way bigger in this match. And so that was another Reddit little tidbit I read. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like this match. I thought it was fun. I like seeing the old school dudes, you know.
Yeah. No, this was a lot of fun. It really was. It's kind of a let me up thing, you know. So I enjoyed it. But Gordon Soley is with Lex Luger, who makes some generic threats against Mean Mark and Paul E. Dangerously, then says it's Sting's night. But I was so distracted by how many rings Gordon Soley wears on his fingers. Have you seen this? It's like he robbed a jewelry store in the Diamond District or something.
I didn't even notice. He should blend in with the Fabulous Freebirds pretty
I've got
well.
plenty of bling bling.
I just want to point out that I think Lex Luger looked everywhere, every single place in that building except for the camera during that interview. He was like mega, it was like squirrel, like mega distracted. He did not look in that camera once.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that next match.
Yes, it is a singles match for the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship. And we've got Lex Luger, our champion that can't look in the camera, versus Mean Mark with Paul E. Dangerously. We saw both these dudes at WCW Capital Combat. And Mean Mark, he's aged a year. He's 25. He's a little baby. Mean Mark's also in all black leather. So we're slowly getting closer to the Undertaker, which is so soon.
Sooner than later. And that's exciting.
It is. But hold up. Wait a minute. Paul E. Dangerously / Heyman is Mean Mark's manager now? Because it was Teddy Long last week, because I remember saying he doesn't need a manager, but maybe it'll work more or better with Paul Heyman.
Yeah, I think they wanted to focus on Teddy being with Doom, really. And Paulie wasn't doing much at the time, so, you know, why not? But it could be for the Saved by the Bell fans, because now we have a Mark and a Paul, and we just need a Gosler.
Oh my God, that makes me so happy. Dude, he looks good in his old age. I think he's hotter as an older man than he was on the show.
I would look at the Confederate flag on his butt.
Speaking of 90s television, young Paul Heyman kind of looks like Danny Tamborelli from Pete and Pete and like all that on Nickelodeon.
Doesn't he have a podcast with the older Pete?
Does he? That's really
I'm
cool
pretty
if he
sure.
does.
I think so.
The older Pete was in Home Alone and Home Alone
Yeah.
2. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
cool.
anyway, JR says that Paulie does not work for the hair club for men. He just combs it over every morning.
Ew. Wow.
JR, on behalf of balding men around the world, shut up. Just shut up.
I almost just said something terrible. I can't. We'll get canceled. I need more Cornette versus Paulie Dangerously. I need that feud again.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Two guys who can just talk so well,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
But Mean Mark grabs Luger's wrist and goes to the top and walked across the rope. He was basically doing old school before it was even school.
Yeah, totally. Ooh, I'm so ready for the Undertaker. I'm so ready.
Yeah.
Like Mean Mark, he's fine. I'm just like weirded out by his ginger look because I want to put
and his legs, his bare legs.
yes, I want to put eyeliner on him so bad. So Lex is the best no seller I know, and that's in the best way possible because I love when he does that thing where nothing affects him, like especially chops when he just like keeps walking into it. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, and he'll flex his pecs and go, ah!
Yeah.
And it's like perfect.
I've started doing the Lex Luger do like in my life, like when I drop something. But dang, holy moly, Lex Luger putting Mean Mark in the torture rack was a happening. Like, wow.
That was impressive. That was really impressive.
It was so cool. And then of course, freaking Paul gets involved with his stupid phone, but dang, Lex got the fastest 3 count I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, like what was that? Did Mike Atkins have a date with a mustache groomer or something? He was like, bang, 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 over.
Oh, I know. It was 1, 2, 3. Like, it was
Yeah.
so freaking fast. But Lex Luger wins that match and retains the championship in 12 minutes and 10 seconds. What I want to know is did he know he was leaving and going to WWF to become the Undertaker at this point? Because it will happen in like 2 or 3 months from this point.
Yeah, I don't think that he knew all of that, but he probably knew that his days were numbered. Yeah.
Really? Because I feel like he just got there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later.
Okay. So we see a pre-taped interview from earlier in the day with Sting, and his flat top, it's looking extra flat, so he must be ready to go. But he says if he loses, he has no excuses because his knee is 100% and he has all of the stipulations he wants, aka no disqualification. However, if Flair loses, he has no excuses either because Sting says he is more than willing to walk that aisle. What does that mean? Are they getting married? What does that mean?
Oh, that would be cute.
It would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. JR could talk about they're going to San Francisco. I was kind of sad that Sting was so calm in this interview because his like promos and interviews are usually like wild and crazy. But
Yeah.
hey, he's growing up. That's okay because Sting is perfect.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, let's get into the next match. It is a tag team match for the NWA World Tag Team Championship. Doom, who are the champions with Teddy Long versus the Rock and Roll Express, saw these guys last, all of them, on WCW Capital Combats. Let's get into it.
Yeah, apparently that jukebox for the Rock and Roll Express, that was a loner because the Rock and Roll Express comes out to the same song, Sans Jukebox.
But we do here get a nice clean shot of the WCW logo on the entranceway, and it still says wow, like you mentioned. And I'm guessing just on a non-HD screen, they could get away with that.
Hello, like my eyes would have been HD back then. Like, do they not have any like I don't know, everyone in the ring in the arena can see it. So
well, but I mean, the people in the arena probably couldn't read at this time. So
that's very true. Sorry, y'all. My dog keeps barking and I have no idea why. But Teddy Long hasn't gotten over the loss of his hair because he's still rocking that do-rag.
Yeah, I know. And it kind of works for him. But JR says that Doom are the world's first black tag team champions. And I feel like maybe that could be true, but probably not. like this is where I need a direct line to Jim Cornette because he'd be able to name like 5 other teams that did it first.
I mean, maybe like on TV in a major televised
Maybe you got to
promotion.
think it happened somewhere in some territory or something.
It had to have, but I'm thinking it was just on TV. I don't know.
Yeah.
But JR said, JR made me laugh. He said, and it's like zoomed in on Teddy's face when he's saying this, and it says, he says, Teddy's mouth is so big he can whisper in his own ear. And like that visual cracked me up because I pictured the fighter off, hey, how you doing? Like over there, you know?
Well, and JR, he's also running down all these guys' college accolades again.
God.
Like, can you imagine if, like, at an office job, your boss did the same thing? He's like, well, back at the University of North Texas, he was known for having fantastic penmanship, erased the whiteboard in 4.2 seconds flat. Can you believe that, Bob?
At least it'd be a little more like pertinent like information in an office job. Like when you're a
Right.
wrestler, like who the hell cares? But
Right.
hey, I think Doom has improved a lot because in their earlier days they were kind of slow and like I felt like they slowed down a lot of matches. But I think they're picking up steam. I think they're doing good.
They're finding their groove. Definitely. They're a lot fun watching and really intimidating, I think.
Oh yeah, and oh my gosh, celebrity sighting in the crowd. You were talking about your man with the balls. No, there's a boy. He's like halfway up in the crowd that we can see to the right a little bit when you're looking. He has a pale yellow shirt on. It's Napoleon Dynamite. He was there. He was 100% there, and he's just like sitting there. He's even got the face, and he's got the afro and the glasses.
Will the conquistadors be here?
He's all got tater tots in his pocket. That's a great movie. By the way, I need you to watch The Greasy Strangler because it is, we were just talking about this today at lunch. It's a horror movie mixed with Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, wow.
It's a slasher film that is Napoleon Dynamite. So you got to watch it.
All right. Well, there's also a family in the front row just left of center screen, and they haven't shown an ounce of emotion all night. Did you see these people?
I did see them.
Like, I can't even tell which one of them was the wrestling fan that dragged the other 3 here. They all got this look on their face like they're doing a hieroglyphic crossword or something. Just,
It was like when the Trumps came. They all sat there just like in silence.
It's like blink if you're being held captive. What is happening here?
I know. I mean, if they're seat fillers, they got some good seats. Well, JR brought up having 2 referees again for the tag matches. And I know he's mentioned that before, and you and I liked that idea. And he says, there's no way one referee can see all 4 wrestlers at once. And of course, WCW and WWF are like, shut up, shut up, shut up.
We need him to miss things. Shut up.
Exactly. And for the next 30 years, we need refs to continue to miss things.
Exactly. We have to make them look completely stupid at their job.
Right.
But this whole thing breaks down into a big brawl. And while Robert Gibson is distracted by Teddy Long, Butch Reed hits a shoulder tackle off the top for the win. And I believe that is the first time that we have seen the Rock and Roll Express lose a match on pay-per-view. Doom wins the match and retains their championships in 15 minutes and 40 seconds. Did you like this one?
I did. I was just trying to think back about Rock and Roll Express, and I think you're right. I didn't realize that, but yeah, I like the match. It was a little long, just because it's the match right before the main event, so it is a longer, we're into the night. But yeah, I mean, I think if it would have been at the beginning of the show, it wouldn't have felt that long. But I think there was just a little crowd fatigue going on. The crowd was a little tired, but yeah, I liked it.
Well, we go to a pre-taped interview in the empty arena between Gordon Soley and Ric Flair. Rick brags about his $2,000 custom suit, which that made me go, man, money has changed a lot since 1990.
I was like, that's like a normal suit that you have to buy now.
Yeah. He said that suit is ready for tonight's victory celebration. And if Sting wants to be the man, then to be the man, you gotta beat the man. And tonight, woo, I will be the man. One more time.
He will be the man one more time.
And we go to the main event.
Yeah, we're headed to our main event for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship with Ric Flair, our champion, versus Sting. I'm so excited. Now, Sting last wrestled at WCW Starrcade 1989 because remember, he got that injury and he's been rehabbing it quite a bit. I'll talk about that a little more in a second. I'm not even sure if I put it in the notes, but Sting's entrance was freaking awesome, but he couldn't enter. He couldn't move because there's a shower of pyro raining down and Sting can't get across it. And it was like it was set off slightly too early and it was supposed to be behind him. But he's like,
Yeah.
you can tell he's questioning, do I just run through it? Do I just go? But no.
It reminded me of what Goldberg has said about his entrance because, there's all those sparklers all over him. And people are like, you're standing in the middle of all those. Like, doesn't that hurt? And he's like, well, yeah, but it looks cool.
I know, right? Goldberg probably can't feel it at this point.
Yeah, right.
Well, Sting is in his red, white, and blue America gear, complete with an American flag painted on his face. And this was the look that his son Garrett rocked for Sting's final match at AEW Revolution.
That was really, really cool. And you want peak 90s? They show a kid in the front row, Sting face paint and a Ninja Turtles t-shirt. I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And I thought it was cool because I knew, Garrett's look was the old school Sting. Meanwhile, his son Steven was Red Crow Sting. I call him Crow Sting. But it was just so cool to see. Like, I knew Sting was winning this match. Spoiler alert. Because when I saw that makeup, I was like, this was an iconic match for him. So
Yeah.
obviously. But Flair didn't get a huge reaction on his entrance. Like, there were no boos, but there were no cheers. It was just kind of quiet. So I was like, yep, it's time.
Yeah. He's been champ for a while now. So yeah, it's probably time to make a change.
Yeah. Well, Ole and God, I can't talk. I keep wanting to call it the Elegante because of that stupid hotel. El Gigante are handcuffed together to keep Ole from, interfering. And I was kind of disappointed at first since it's not really handcuffs. It's more just like a rope, like a foot-long rope that they're like kind of tied together. But I realized they had to do that because if there wasn't any slack, Ole would be sitting there with his arm 3 feet in the air the entire match.
It's going to sleep. It's going to sleep, and I got beers to serve. Damn it! Come on.
Exactly.
But we also have the Steiners, Paul Orndorff, and Junkyard Dog ringside to prevent any interference from the Four Horsemen during the match. But I had to laugh when El Gigante and Ole sat down in the folding chairs on the ramp because Ole had like enough room to get one butt cheek on there, and then that poor chair that Gigante is sitting on, like that chair's got to be like, man, out of the thousands of chairs in this arena, why couldn't you just fold me up and hit somebody with me, or let that man spreader with his balls out sit on me? Like anything but this.
You think that chair would rather have balls on him than El Gigante?
I would.
That's a good thing to know about you, Justin. Well, Sting is dominating early on and really throughout the whole match. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I had full body chills just like seeing him in his absolute prime.
Yeah, this is one of those epic moments in wrestling,
Yeah, and they fight back and forth a bit. Flair goes for a figure four, but Sting kind of shoves him away, and then they get into a woo match. That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
And I know that the other wrestlers were at ringside to like make sure no one interfered, but it was a really cool visual to see the other top stars of the company out there because it's like they just wanted to be there for that moment, and they just wanted to see it happen live.
Well, yeah, and it gave that perfect feeling of like, oh, now there's no way that Flair can get away with any crap. And so it's like, in my mind, it's almost like it's a win-win now because if Sting wins, okay, yay, Sting's the champion. If Flair wins, you're getting it for a really good reason, a really good story that's just going to make you hate Flair that much more.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Speaking of guys on the outside, why is Junkyard Dog wet? Like... He hasn't done anything.
He's a big boy now.
Wet.
He's sweaty. He's big now. He's a big boy. It's hot in that arena. I get it, man.
Baltimore Heat, huh?
Hey, it was July.
True.
It is July 7th to be specific, but the crowd wanted Sting to win this so badly because if you notice, like they're super hot when he's dominating, but anytime Rick was in control, they got quiet and it was like they were just waiting for their next opportunity to cheer for Sting. Did you catch that?
Oh, absolutely. Like they were ready. And I think not only because it was Sting, but they're also ready to see Rick lose the belt.
Yeah.
They were ready when Lex Luger and Rick were going at it.
Yeah. Well, Rick got on his knees to beg twice in this match. And so this made me question it. And I was thinking maybe Rick was going to win and like have this mega heel turn because I was like, I could see him begging for mercy and then winning and then Sting being like, what the hell, you know? So yeah, but Sting hits a stinger splash on Rick, and the way Rick sold it was incredible. So it's
Mm.
like he took a step forward like he was totally fine and then just fell completely flat on his face. It was great.
Yeah, that's the Flair flop right there. And then right after that, Sting gets the Scorpion Deathlock on Flair. And then that's when the
Mm.
Horsemen ran down. But the baby faces, they meet them on the ramp and a brawl happens and it's chaos. And then in the ring, Flair gets to the ropes. But like for a minute, I thought that this was the finish. It was so good.
I agree with you, man. And, Rick attempted a figure four, but Sting rolled him up for the pin. The place goes absolutely insane. I think I started crying, but Sting wins that match and the championship in 16 minutes in 6 seconds. This match was so awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
Yee.
yeah, early in the match, I was going, you know what? Rick and Luger had better matches than this. And
Mhm.
I was like, this is, I mean, it's fine. It's not a bad match, but I was way more into those matches. By the end, the way that everything played out, it was one of those moments that felt like Cody finishing the story. You know,
Yes.
it
Great. Yeah.
it just gave you that feel good feeling of, oh my God, that's what we all wanted, and we got it. And so it
Yes.
was great.
Oh, yeah, and it was like, all that chaos and everything, it's like everything finally aligned for, like, everything was finally made right in the world and fair so that Sting could win that.
Yeah, it
So
was perfectly done. Perfectly done.
so good. So all of the ringside wrestlers, they join Sting in the ring while the crowd is on their feet, and Sting starts to walk up the ramp to the back with his belt, and he's, like, pointing to all the fans in the crowd, like, kinda thanking them, and I'm like, "What? We're not gonna get to talk to him?" But then a giant Sting head is lowered from the ceiling, but it looks more like gold dust because it's like the face was gold and it had like black face paint and fireworks start shooting out of it, like from the eyes and the ears and the nose and stuff. And it was goofy but cool. And I think Sting even looked back at it and was like, whoa, and like kind of laughed, like, that's
he's
my
like,
face.
he's like, do I got to pay for that? Or is
I
that
know.
okay?
Right. Well, Gordon Sully walks up, shakes Sting's hand, and congratulates him. And Sting responds with, "My mouth is really dry." And I'm like, this is why I can relate to Sting because that is so something I would say in that moment. But he continues, "So try to understand what I'm going to say." And he says that, quote, "Ric Flair is the greatest world champion of all time. Me, on the other hand, I'm a champion tonight and tonight only." He explains that he's going to do the best he can do, but that he has big shoes to fill. He thanks the audience as he walks back down the ramp toward the ring for an encore. And he's just so wholesome. Like, I felt like that was genuine.
Yeah, I mean, and it was undeniable at the time that like who's better than Flair as the champion? Like he's carried it for almost 10 years straight at this point. You know, I mean, that's huge. And
Yeah.
uh, yeah, Sting had every right to say that. Sure.
Yeah. Well, JR and Bob comment on how nice he was to give Ric Flair credit because Sting's so nice and not problematic. They promote Halloween Havoc one last time. Then they tell us they'll see us next time, Justin. What are your final thoughts about this show?
Oh, well, a hell of a lot better than Capital Combat.
Yes.
Uh, did not miss the presence of RoboCop.
Oh, I did.
You know, this was actually a fun show. I was really more into the tag team matches than a lot of the singles matches. Everything moved quickly. There was no real dragging. It felt like the crowd was really into the show for almost all the way through. And then, of course, that moment with Sting winning the championship at the end. Great pay-per-view. Great pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, I think I said it last week, but I always love the Great American Bash. I always think it's a great show, and I mean, like you said, I love the tag matches in the show. It was a really well paced show. There was never a moment where I'm like, oh my god, this is dragging. I'm bored. Um, I the final match. I mean, it's like one of the probably best matches of my life because I'm such a Sting fan. But I gotta agree with him, man. Like Ric Flair, okay. So like before we started this podcast, like I remember seeing Rick at WCW in Midland at Shap Center in like 1996 or whatever. That was kind of past his prime. He was still good, but it was like kind of past his prime. And, you know, in 2025, we all think of Rick as like this dirty old man, like, oh, go away, heat, you know. But oh my God, thank God for this podcast because Rick is a goat. He is the greatest of all time. And I understand him so much better now. And I understand people's love for him because, you know, we're watching this Hulk Hogan stuff and I don't get it. I still don't get it. I'm like, he got lucky. Like he got lucky. But Ric Flair, he's a freaking goat. He is a star. I get it now. Obviously it wasn't just this pay-per-view that made me see that, but I really enjoyed it. The only thing I would change is how Sting kept selling the knee thing in the ring, but he kept saying he was 100%. So I'm like, why are you going to sell that knee thing if you're 100%? But that's the one complaint I had. We are good.
I think it's a wash. I think it's a wash.
It's a wash. It's a
good.
wash.
We're good.
Well, tell me what happens after this show.
Yeah, a few things here. This was the final time that we would see Mean Mark on a WCW pay-per-view.
Oh.
As we previously mentioned, Booker Ole Anderson told Mark that nobody would ever pay to see him wrestle. So, poor guy. I wonder whatever happened to him.
Ole's dumb.
Harley Race would continue to wrestle on WCW house shows before retiring from the ring in 1991. And Sting would continue his championship run, but shortly after this pay-per-view, he would feud with a mysterious wrestler who wore a mask and claimed to be somebody from Sting's past and called himself the Black Scorpion.
Who is it?
I will not build up your expectations. It ends up being the dumbest shit that made zero sense.
Well, the Black Scorpion, I'm like, that's Sting's thing. You can't take that from him. I mean, it's coming, but what the heck?
We shall see.
Okay. I'm very confused. But hey, I love the stupid shit era. It has not disappointed me. Once RoboCop was awesome.
Okay, but think when it was revealed that the devil in AEW was Adam Cole, and everybody went, yeah, I guess so. I guess.
I mean, it would have been cooler if he didn't shatter his ankle in a million places and they could have done something with it. But
yeah. This is along those lines, but it makes even less sense.
Great. Well, Justin, before we go, you got to hit me with some more
Wrestle stats.
Bang! I got the wrestle stats. So 2 people on this show we're not going to see wrestle on pay-per-view ever again. That's Dutch Mantell, who leaves us with a record of 0 wins, 2 losses, and 0 draws, and Harley Race. Yeah, he leaves us with a record of 3 wins, 5 losses, and 0 draws. 8 matches that we saw from Harley Race on Wrestle Recap. So gonna miss him because I was always a big fan of his.
Yeah.
Rematches. 274 matches we've watched so far on this show. 19 of them have been rematches for 6.93%. And title matches, out of those 274 matches, 88 of them have been title matches for 32.12%. And you want more stats like that. I know you do for current wrestling. So you got to go on over to WrestleStats.com or WrestleStats on X, Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram or TikTok. All over the damn place. What about you, Michelle?
They should just text you for stats at this point. You're everywhere.
I know, and it's exhausting. And I'm about to have a very busy week and a half to 2 weeks ahead of me. So the posting might be a little bit light for a few.
I feel sorry for you. I don't have a life, so I'm fine. You can reach out to me at Michelle Tater on the X Twitter. That's the best place to reach me. I have the other things, but like Instagram, I don't know how that works. People send stuff to me and I look at it. You can also reach out to us at Wrestle Recap on Twitter, X, Threads, all the things. And that's if you just want to talk to either of us. Either one, you'll hear back from us. But Justin, what do we have next week?
Next week, we're headed back to the WWF. This has been 2 WCW shows in a row, so let's head on back to the Fed, as they say, for SummerSlam 1990. It's the WWF debut of a Texas legend and a double main event, including a steel cage match for the WWF Championship. What more could you want?
The Red Rooster.
Ah, Jesus.